I know the excitement surrounding the Sun Bowl wasn't necessarily at a fever pitch, understandably so, but still another football game, um, but was not meant to be, as Miami is pulled out of the Sun Bowl date against Washington State. Therefore, football will have to wait until 2022. But we go on undaunted here on our Hurricanes live show each and every Wednesday night. We got Cam Underwood here, of course, from State of the U to drive this baby. Cam, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Good to be back. Welcome back to everybody. Little blip in the schedule, as it were, last week, so I was unable to make it. But hey, we're good and everything's all right. But yeah, good to be back. I do wish that I had some Miami Hurricanes football to watch in a couple of days. Well, actually, would I have been able to watch it? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that would have been nice. But health and safety comes first, and we move onward, upward, and forward. And we do have a new head coach, and some other coaches who are not announced yet, but they're definitely already doing the job here. So there is that. But yeah, we move forward towards recruiting and National Signing Day, and seeing how we can finish this class, get some transfers in here, and really start to or continue to keep this thing going.
I know my mindset comes from another era in which bowl games were held at a high regard, but still, I saw a couple of people comment to the channel because I went on live shortly after that was announced for various reasons, just commenting that they were Miami fans, but we're about national championships, so we didn't want to play in the Sun Bowl, and I didn't care about the Sun Bowl anyway. I just think anytime you can watch your team play, and especially play, I'm not going to say high-level competition, but decent quality competition, then it's something to be missed. Myself, I wanted to see a good football game.
I mean, yeah, I clearly was not going to anyways El Paso, Texas. I've been there once and never again. So I would have been watching it from the comfort of this here apartment in Fort Lauderdale. Or maybe at a watch party or with some friends or something. But here, not going out there. But yeah, I would have enjoyed, seeing that. And, there are a couple guys who decided that they were not going to play in the game anyway to prepare for the NFL draft. And I understand that. But still, it's the general rank and file. I mean, it's still the Miami Hurricanes. It's still the orange and green, the iconic U logo on white helmets and, all those things. And I would have loved to see that. Another showcase experience or, showcase for Tyler Van Dyke, because why would it not be? I'm not going to say that he's going to have 183 yards and, no touchdowns and 4 interceptions all of a sudden. That's not who he had been. That's not the way that things had gone, even with Rhett Lashley not here. So, I mean, yeah, I would have preferred to have seen that. But, those are the breaks. And, we keep going and, continue or to build the beginning of the Cristobal era as head coach here in Miami.
So the business at hand is in forming a coaching staff. So where do we stand, and what is the latest there?
There's nothing that's been announced other than Mario Cristobal. So there's that. I think some, guess personally. My guess would be something in the, New Year's Day window, maybe a couple days after that, because you're going to have the first round of, or most of the bowl games in the first round of, or the semifinals for the college football playoff will have been played, so I think you can go and do that. We know that Mario Cristobal is the head coach. There's that. Again, kind of the nudge, nudge, wink, wink thing, first of all, Alex Mirabal, his best friend since forever, is going to be the offensive line coach. Has not been announced, but you can etch that in stone. You don't got to wait. You got to put that in pencil. Alex Mirabal, offensive line coch.
Is that because he's coaching tonight?
Huh?
Is that because he's coaching tonight in tonight's game, Oregon game?
Is Mirabal still there?
I don't know. That's
I don't
just an
even
ignorant
think so.
question. Okay.
I think that he's been here and everything. And like,
Okay.
you have offensive linemen in this class, like current cycle, like 2022, that are signing in February, who are putting up, oh, yeah, it was great to talk to the new Miami offensive line coach, Alex Mirabal, be reoffered by Miami. And they're new. I mean, like, adding him on Twitter, like, that's one of the worst kept secrets in college football, that Alex Mirabal is going to be on the staff. I think that the Brian McClendon from Oregon to Miami thing is a done deal as well, and has not been announced because he's coaching in tonight's bowl game. I was today years old when I learned that Oregon was playing a bowl game today, also because I don't pay attention to Oregon like that. I'll turn it on and see them sometimes, but I don't like follow them. But there was an intrepid Oregon fan who was concerned about having his staff poached by Cristobal as he left. You know, that unleavable job that no one would ever leave, ever in a million years would any coach ever leave the Oregon job. We've seen multiple people do that, but hey, whatever. And so he goes digging through, and he found a couple of badges, or it's like, well, I guess it was on his phone, but it was like the coaching page, you know, like, or the biography page of the coach or whatever on the Miami website with the .miami.edu email extension, and like posted those, and was like, oh, it looks like Mirabal and Brian McClendon. And I saw one from somebody who purports to have, or to be employed by Miami Information and Technology Services, and said, you know, I'm a senior director with the University of Miami ITS, and you don't get that email address and everything unless onboarding has been completed. So to have shown that, you know, the onboarding and, you know, everything would have been needed to be completed to even have that populate. So do with that, or it was like the employee directory, whichever one, but like, do with that as you will. So yeah, but you know, I believe that he's coming down. You know, Aaron Feld, the strength and conditioning coach, also expecting him to come on down as well. Had prior experience with Cristobal in Alabama before getting the job out there, following Cristobal and getting promoted to head S&C instead of assistant, and things like that. You know, there's talk of Jim Mastro, a really dynamic West Coast recruiter, could coach a couple of different spots. The expectation at this point is that Travaris Robinson is retained on staff. Some of the other ones, it kind of depends on like which way the defensive coordinator thing goes, because a couple options reportedly have backgrounds as defensive backs coaches, while a couple other candidates have backgrounds as linebackers coaches. So like, you would obviously cross program. So like, if you bring in one who you know, has a secondary background, then you're going to bring in somebody to coach linebackers. If you want linebacker background, you're going to bring in another person probably in the secondary, which would then, you know, potentially open the door for DeMarcus Van Dyke staying, who could be at the, you know, beginning of a strong career, because, you know, you do have to start somewhere, and I think that he did a good job both on the trail and developing the cornerbacks through this season. I know that Travaris Robinson was also the defensive backs coach, so he wasn't doing it by himself, but still, I think, you know, there's that. You know, and it'll be interesting. You know, there was a report today that Rob Chudzinski, former Miami tight end on the national championship team, who played with, say it with me, guys, Mario Cristobal, exactly, and coached at Miami, was the offensive coordinator for the greatest college football team ever in 2001 for the Miami Hurricanes, is expected to have a role here. I think it was Bruce Feldman who reported that earlier today. If not, I saw Bruce Feldman. I think it was him or someone else, but I think it was Feldman. And Chudzinski is a special assistant at Boston College right now. Obviously had the offensive coordinator job here. Obviously worked in the NFL as offensive coordinator for many years, and was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns for a time. That did not go well, obviously, but, you know, hey, it's the Browns, and they've not had lots of great seasons. And I'm a Lions fan, so don't even say that I'm dumping on a bad team from my perch, because we're in the trenches and the doldrums together, guys. But yeah, so there's that. And, you know, there is, I'm fairly certain that there's other interests as well. And I don't necessarily need everybody to be from South Florida on the team or on the staff. But I mean, if you want to give me another really, really strong South Florida recruiter, you know, Juwan Sider-ish, wouldn't be mad at it. But I think that there's plenty of coaches, and the thing with Miami increasing the assistant pool, we're going to go and buy somebody up off of their good job and just say, hey, you know, like if money is the option, right? So if all things being equal, here's an extra $100,000 to make them unequal in our favor. How's that work for you? You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, we're going to have a staff that we're going to be proud of. I think we're going to have a staff that, like, you know, is going to be really exciting, which, I mean, it already is, because Mark Cristobal's at the head of that, already making $8 million a year, which is top 10 in the country. So, yeah, this budget-friendly, spendthrift, frugal operation that Miami was really trying to just – that had worked because of the guys in the building back in the day. So they said, look, we got by with the shoestring then. They did all this player, like, that's the other part of everything being player run. And like, the players are so close and the players teach each other. And it's like, well, because they kind of had to, because there's not the other structures. You just try to get away with that and make this money hand over fist for 15, 20 years. And they're finally, you know, Miami going to spend some. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty dope.
Falconer X is here. Appreciate that super sticker to start things out. Then Falconer X comes back with, I had my beer on Frosted Flakes for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, but I will have to find another game. Cam, what do you think the impact of John Ruiz's involvement will be going forward?
John Ruiz, again, being burgeoning mega booster with the medical billing technology thing that's supposed to be, you know, with the $20 billion valuation for his personal wealth. I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to be a large amount of involvement because, you know, money buys you into the room. And, you know, he went to Miami. His entire family went to Miami. His son, Johnny Ruiz, played second base for the baseball team for a couple of years, hit like 364 one year, something like that. Like, I mean, it was really, I mean, it was a lot of singles and doubles, but hey, 364, they all look like line drives and box scoreless. I mean, 36%, you know, hits. That's pretty incredible. So yeah, no, he wants to be involved, and he will have the capital to be able to be involved. He's talking about this plan to, you know, buy Coral Gables High School and put a stadium there. Like, that's not gonna happen. Negotiate the purchase from Miami-Dade Public Schools and move Coral Gables High School off the corner of Ponce and Lejeune. I don't think that's going to happen at all. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that we're like, he's talking about it in ways where like it could potentially be possible. It's not just me sitting here and saying, well, I'm going to go do that and rub these two nickels that I have on this coffee table together and make that happen. It's like, no, you know, like, I got my own money and people connected also as well. So towards making some of these major moves happen. So yeah, I think we're just seeing the beginning of what John Ruiz Sr. desires to do. And I'm interested to see what he will be able to do in support of the program moving forward.
All right, folks, you're a little light on the questions tonight. Not a whole lot going on, so I'm delving into the questions that have come into the channel here. We've got about 7 or 8 just in the last 3 hours.
I will say to Falconer X's statement while you're looking for a question, South Florida recruiting is prime, but to be a championship team, Miami needs to recruit other talented areas, especially big guys up front. I mean, if you look at it, like, Miami's chasing some big guys from elsewhere. Dave Iuli, who's committed to Oregon, 4-star offensive lineman, 6'5", 315, is highly considering Miami. To come on down. There's other guys from the West Coast, and there's other guys, and especially up front, Miami's going to go find guys. Now, if you get a Shamar Stewart and maybe somebody else along the defensive line now to go along with Nigel Kelly, all right, we're cooking with gas. But up front on the offensive line, you got Cristobal, who was a championship offensive lineman, and then you have Mirabal, who's a very, very well-respected offensive line coach as well. So I think that we're going to go get guys. And yeah, looking outside of South Florida is key, especially for the size and caliber of offensive linemen that we're looking for. And that's the thing that's really going to set this offense apart because, I was talking with a friend of mine earlier, shout out to Fred Purdue. What's going on, Fred? Former co-host of a now defunct podcast that I will not name because that organization decided philosophical differences. We'll just say that. Anyways, but we're talking about the fact of, wanting a different kind of quarterback, like a Tyler Van Dyke that we've seen, to be the standard now on. But the point that I brought up was, I get that like maybe having a De'Aaron King is not optimal because, he's more of a runner than a thrower, even though he was adept at throwing. That was also precipitated because the offensive line would turnstiles, It's hut. Oh my God, there's a guy in my face, and now I got to move and shake and make something happen and extend the play because the play that I had, where I'm going to sit here and I'm going to scan, is no longer available. You know what I mean? Sorry. Text about the secret day job, but I'm not at the secret day job. I'm on this job.
No, you were not.
Channel. Appreciate that.
Here with us.
Exactly. No, I will not. They will have to wait till another time. But like I was saying, when you have an offensive line that's not really able to do the job, like we kind of saw a couple times, then you need a quarterback who's more agile, mobile, hostile. Shout out to Rumor Titans to be back there. But, when you improve that, then other things start to open up. You're able to dial up some of those things, even what Rhett Lashley did this year. As the offensive line gelled together throughout the season, then you saw more of those trick plays and that, double reverse pass, that flea flicker and things like that. Those take time. So those five guys, maybe with a little help from a tight end or a chip from a running back, those guys are going to have to do that job. And we saw going in that direction. And I'm very confident. I mean, Mario Cristobal would have to deny his native, he would have to be a self-hating individual to not look to improve the offensive line. Like he was an offensive lineman on 2 championship teams at Miami. His best friend is the offensive line coach coming down here. He would have to have a blind spot for himself and what he did and coached and played to go in a different direction. And sometimes early on in a career, you can do that. Y'all know I used to be a teacher, right? I taught music. And there was a study, and I went to a convention, and basically it was talking about whatever instrument or voice part that director played or sang, that was the one that got the least attention, because in your head, you're like, I'm singing bass or I'm playing flute. So I'm not paying attention to the basses in my choir. I'm not paying attention to the flutes in my band because I'm in my head hearing it because I can do that. And the same thing early on in a coaching career. You can be like, I was an offensive lineman, so I'm going to focus on these other things because I implicitly think that I'm going to have a great offensive line without giving them the focused, dedicated time that they would otherwise get. But we're not at the beginning of someone's career. We're not learning on the job a la Manny Diaz. This is someone who has done the job at multiple levels and coached this position of offensive line, brought in his best friend to coach it and continue it, and is very secure in the way that he wants to build and run a program. So, yeah, I agree with Falcon Rex that we're going to go outside of South Florida and look for ways to grow and improve the offensive line in terms of depth and talent. And hopefully we unlock some of the talent that's on this roster, because I, for one, would like to see somebody like Isaiah Walker Jr. from Norland. He was a 4-star kid. He was a top 200 recruit in America, has not played a meaningful snap or a single snap, I don't even think, at the University of Miami. That's a guy who maybe with the right coaching on the offensive line can be a really key contributor here. There's other guys who were blue chip caliber dudes in that room. I don't know if they're going to stick around, but we haven't seen much from them. So it's kind of rubber meeting road time. So hopefully either they improve and live up to their billing and recruitment, because all these guys were recruited by other Power 5 teams. Isaiah Walker Jr. went to the University of Florida, smelled what it smelled like in Gainesville, and said, nah, I'm going back south to the crib, out, bye. And I get that. But I say that to say, if he was recruited by Florida, an SEC team, who I hate, but I will begrudgingly respect, right? And they were not the only ones. That means that big-time name-brand teams wanted him and other guys. Why are they not able to perform on the field here at Miami? Hopefully with Cristobal and Mirabal, specifically for the offensive line, they're able to improve that moving forward.
Falconer X was amused by your turnstile comment about the offensive line.
I do what I can.
Thank you, Falconer X. So the quarterback of the future has been found. That doesn't mean that Jake Garcia couldn't turn out to be a phenomenal quarterback in his own right.
What? I mean, honestly, I think that like Van Dyke is the quarterback of now.
Well, that's
you know
what I mean.
I mean, but yeah, he's QB1.
Yeah. So that being said, there being no other experience of note in the room, are you okay with where the quarterback room stands right this second?
I would love a program player. I would love a Stetson Bennett minus or a Stetson Bennett, you know, not to start, not to be a championship quarterback because he's not that, right? He's not. And it is a shame that Georgia has had to rely upon him because he's not. He's just not. And he can be a good guy. He's just not. And that's okay, right? But I would love to have, or like even what's like a player who's a minor upgrade over Jake Heaps, right? A fifth-year guy, 22, 23 years old, maybe played a couple hundred snaps somewhere else. Doesn't have to be like a starter, but like that safety net, you know, because you're going to have Van Dyke as QB1, Garcia's QB2, Ja'Cory Brown is a 3-year project at quarterback, and it's fine because you got Van Dyke and Garcia in front. And after that, you have Peyton Matoka, who's never going to play a meaningful snap here. And then you got to walk on Ryan Rizek, you know, whose most notable thing is that his younger brother is going to be a blue chip quarterback, you know. And it was like this year, you know, in the end of the season, if Van Dyke went down, now you're playing Rizek or Matoka, you know, and Ja'Cory Brown is not going to be ready for primetime next year. And Jake Garcia, you know, unfortunately, we've seen him already get injured. So, yeah, I would love a Jake Heaps plus kind of old man, you know, to be in that room just on the in case that, you know, let's say COVID's still around next year. Because it most likely will be. Let's say TVD tweaked an ankle. He's not able to go. Garcia, hypothetically, is out because of safety protocols. That means Rizek, Matoka, or Ja'Cory Brown. If you would have like another guy there, that would make me really, really, really. And I don't even need a blue chip. I don't need a 5-star. I don't need Quinn Ewers. I don't need Justin Fields to transfer in. I mean, I would take it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't need that. But another guy who, if I gave you, what was the name of the grad assistant who started at South Carolina?
Oh, well, let's see. Their quarterbacks, they had Zeb Nolan, but he wasn't the guy. He was their other quarterback. Jason Brown, was that his name? Jacob Brown, Jason Brown.
Even if I had a guy like that, so I could plug in.
That's an incredible story.
For one game, that's an incredible story. That I go as a GA and they're like, "Hey, bro, go see the equipment manager right quick." Like, you know what I mean?
That's crazy when you think about it. And he's really playing he's starting an SEC game.
Right, but I just need a guy.
and he did fine.
And that's what I would need to be fine on the in case. Because, yeah, it would be break glass if emergency if Garcia and Van Dyke, for whatever reason, are not able to play in the same game moving in next year. But otherwise, I mean, like talent-wise, moving forward, oh, yeah, no. Like, I mean, you got TVD who's, I mean, obviously you see it. Garcia is arguably as talented and something more talented than Van Dyke. Ja'Cory Brown is incredibly physically talented and imposing. He's 6'4", and he got shoulders that are like, I mean, it looks like a 40 zoot suit. I mean, he has these gigantic shoulders, a cannon for an arm, can definitely run. Nah, he needs to get, you know, fine tuning at the finer points of being a quarterback, including, footwork and accuracy and, repeatable mechanics. And we know those things. So that's why I say that he's a 3-year project. I'm not expecting him or needing him to be out there right now. But in terms of talent between those three, that's plenty. Oh,
Yeah,
Zeb Nolan was the guy.
Yeah. That's the first name that came to mind. Noland, as in Noland. Zeb Noland. Yeah, they had turnstile at quarterback themselves with like 3 really average guys, but now they got Spencer Rattler.
Hey, at least they didn't have to bring over a linebacker in the middle of the season like Maryland had to do. What was that? Almost a decade ago now?
I think that was Iowa State.
No, but before that,
Maryland did that too. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Iowa State did that as well.
They did that as well. Yeah. So it's not that situation. Because for Miami, I don't think it would be in that situation. But yes.
But you came up with the perfect example. I was scanning the country and I was coming up with pretty pedestrian quarterbacks, but way above, with the expectation that they're going to start somewhere because they are starters.
Right.
I wasn't coming up with that type of guy. You've been asked several places for some type of a wish list at DC.
For me, I think it comes down to Derek Mason or the Schaefer guy from Georgia. I think that either one of those would be a real home run. Doug Belk, where's he from? I'm not familiar.
Doug Belk, I'm not either. Jim Leonard,
so we're in associate head. Oh, Houston. Okay. So the associate head coach in DC from Houston. Okay, we can talk about that. 3rd season in Houston, promoted to defensive coordinator, and it was associate coach safeties. 2 seasons of cornerback coaching at West Virginia. That included Keith Washington, 3 interceptions. Didn't they have a cornerback who was
Marcus Jones?
Yeah. He was a grad assistant at Alabama. Okay. That's not bad. And then he was secondaries coach at Valdosta State, one of the better, division, what are they, 2 programs? But yeah, that's okay. And they had a top 15 defense, PPU Life. Okay, I get you. Maybe not my first choice, but as I went through quickly on this University of Houston biography page there are things to like. Jim Leonard, I think, also would be very good. I think he does a great job. I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in America, to be perfectly honest. So if you can get him down here as well, yeah, that'll work. Former All-American safety at Wisconsin, for those who are unfamiliar. So obviously, you would slide T-Rob to corners and let him coach safeties because, but yeah, I would say I don't think that it's realistic, however, just from the fact that he's from Wisconsin and went to Wisconsin and is coaching at Wisconsin. For that, I don't necessarily think that's realistic. If you want to maybe gamble a little bit on catching someone on the upswing, maybe you go with a Belk. But again, I would say Schaefer or Mason would be my personal top 2 for the defensive coordinator role in Miami. But that's me personally.
Jim Leonard has a string of top 5 to 10 defenses nationally, every year. Yeah.
Since he got there, they were they weren't bad. They were in the 30s or 20s. And then he got there and it was top 5, every year. So, I mean, yeah, would I take him in Miami? Absolutely.
It has happened that guys have been lured away from their alma mater, just looking for a change, something new, something perceived to be better. And just, okay, this is my home. This is what I love, but what else can I do here? I need a new challenge.
I agree with Richard Barnett. Leonard's not leaving Wisconsin. He's probably going to be the next head coach there. That's what I see for him as well.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
like
that's true.
that vertical ascension.
Yeah.
And everything. Continue to jump around for the rest of his career and whatnot. But I think that's in his future.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you're on the record as not being in favor of Charlie Strong.
I mean, nah. I mean, he's a good defensive mind, and everything. But like, how old is he now? He's like 67, right?
Yeah.
He's not a spring chicken. Like, he's 61. Excuse me. But like, that is a little ageist of me, but it's not my preference. But there can be a case made that he is a good defensive mind. He's done it for a long time. And if you're looking to add another pretty damn good recruiter in the state of Florida, you could do much worse than bringing in Charlie Strong. So, I mean, that is a thing. That's just not my thing. But again, if he ends up wearing the orange and green and the U on his chest, then we'll support him moving forward. I just would look other places first. Me personally.
If we could propel forward 5 years, 5 football seasons, so 2022 through 26, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're at the conclusion of the 2026 season. What will you reasonably have hoped that Mario Cristobal and staff will have accomplished at this point? And what is the status of the program?
Elevating the talent on the roster for one. Really just, really getting Miami into being one of the elite, like the handful of elite rosters in America. That's for first. That's first things first. Second things first, I need at least 4 Coastal Division championships. Like, it needs to be pretty much every year, with the random off year that Miami does not win the Coastal. That's just that. On top of that, of those 4, I need at least 2 ACC championships. And all of the other surrounding accoutrement that would go with that. If you're winning the division and getting to the championship game, you're going to be playing in premium bowls. You win it at least twice out of the 4 times that you're there. There's conversation to be had about college football playoff or more, you know what I mean? Like, all the other things. And anything past that, it does take a measure of luck. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it has to be. I would think that in the first 5, if you're going to strike while the iron is hot, and everybody's really fired up about you coming down here and everything, and you're going to try to, get that 6th national championship ring, it would be earlier on than later, because usually you don't, see guys who are just kind of flatlining, and all of a sudden 10 years into their tenure that's been 8-4, all of a sudden they're national championship team and coach. So I would think that if you're going to get that, it would need to be in this near time frame. But then again, like I said, if you're winning the Coastal 4 times, if you're winning the ACC championship at least twice, and that would probably bring with it. And the other thing is not doing the random play down to the level of the likes of the teams that we played down to and below the level of, and pissed away other opportunities, and really, instead of being the nail, return to being the hammer, as it were. You do all of that, or you expect all of that, or, we're looking in the rearview mirror after the 2026 season, and all that's happened. I think that Miami's in a really good place. And I don't think that anything that I've put forth is at all unreasonable. And if anything, I might be even hedging a little bit, because 2 out of 4 in the ACC championship game, that's not really necessarily even great. You really would like to see, all 4, if not 5, I don't necessarily think 5, just because obviously we've never won it. So winning one and continuing, but like, yeah, 3 to 4 ACC championships, in 5 years, and really putting this, thing together, taking the governor off of the engine of this Ferrari and letting it run. Like, those are the things that I would reasonably expect to have happened after 5 years.
Yeah, I don't have any pushback to that. That seems reasonable. Again, high expectations, but reasonably high expectations, meaning, yeah, it's already the best roster in the division. So that gets you to a place of playing in the conference championship game right
Should.
there
Should.
with just capable coaching.
If you don't give it away. And like, look, I know you're going to have.
Sure.
I mean, and I'm not even saying that it's going to be playing NCAA 14 on freshmen, where you win 947 games in a row by, by 8 million points. I mean, would I love that? Yeah, but I mean, that's not realistic. So I'm not even saying that we have to go undefeated every year. I would love it, but that's not realistic. So, even, the one loss, you're going to lose. I mean, there will be games that we will lose. There's still college kids. There's still going to be the variance of performance that, affects everyone. You know what I mean? But losing to a North Carolina team that goes 6-2 in conference, and we end up 7-1, so we win it that way. That's one thing. Losing to like some of the teams that we've lost to recently, who have not done that. Even North Carolina last year, who really wasn't even that good. You know what I mean? Like, those are the things. Those losses to teams that are 4-4 and 3-5 in conference and things like that. Nah, put that out. And if you get rid of those things, then you can actually like move forward. Like, it can get good.
Yeah, you're right. I cannot find a coach. Cannot land my mind on a coach who had substantial time at a school where 8-4 was a typical season and then jumped up and peaked. That doesn't happen.
Right. So, expecting that to happen, although it could, is probably a fool's errand. So then that means let's get to work.
Yeah, I can't come up with that scenario. So your 5 years, you're looking at regular seasons where 9-3's the floor.
Yeah.
Every season should be kind of 10-2 a baseline.
It should be 10-2 or better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Falconer X is taking us into the music book. Cam, what is your favorite holiday song that can be applied to success in college football? And can you sing a bar or two?
That's what, like, I tilted my head like the dog that's hearing the whistle there. Man.
While you're thinking of that, somebody tossed me the other night $50 to impersonate Bing Crosby.
Oh, wow.
So, hey, I gave it a shot. I had never
an interesting
attempted that before, but I gave a couple lines of White Christmas my best go.
Okay. It's the second part of that sentence that can be applied to success in college football.
I'll try to help you out. Not that I'm going to help you out, but
I was trying to go through my caroling book from when I taught and everything. I don't know. Maybe
joy to the world after a ACC championship win.
Yeah, I mean, there would be that. Already did the Christmas song the other week, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe something like that. Maybe that's, yeah. What's the one that has tidings and joy? I hate Christmas songs. Like, I don't even like them. Like, I don't. And people were like, oh, like you did music for so long. Yeah, that's why I don't like them. Like we had Allstate in the end of September. And then when that was done, we would have to start preparing in September the Christmas songs because you're going to have breaks and everything. So early release days and that Thanksgiving break, which just turned into a week, which means when you come back from Thanksgiving, they need to be stage ready. And we did all kinds of stuff. The Coral Gables caroling competition. We did caroling at school. We did caroling at the middle school. We did caroling at the nursing home. We did the holiday fest at the airport. We had the concert. We had like I had so many in the book that we had and the number of songs that we did. I mean, we did songs of all different kinds, like we in all different places. Like there was a Nigerian Christmas song that we did every single year. There was a tradition song that the seniors got solos, and we're in the aisles and we're dancing and clapping and doing it in the authentic way that they do it in the villages in Nigeria. I had students who were of Nigerian descent saying that they had their whole family come to the concert dressed in traditional Nigerian garb, and they saw it on the thing, and we started going, and the whole family. The whole 22-person family they stood up and they sung and they moved and they did it with us because we did it in that kind of authentic way. But I say that to say that it would be more than a quarter of my year. Almost a third of my teaching year was always taken up by holiday music. I hate it. And I don't have to do it anymore.
I can understand.
And we always did it really well, even though
when
sorry for the back.
But you didn't hate holiday music and Christmas music. The first cycle that you had to go through that.
Not the first one, no. Not the first one.
You grew to hate it.
It was all new, yeah. But we were doing it for 20-something years across multiple things. That good, yeah. Anyways, sorry, enough about that. Apologize. Anyway, back to sports.
It's entertaining.
Let's stick to sports.
Michael, good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for the contribution. Happy holidays, Mark, Cam, and the entire U family. Love and blessings. Hit the like and subscribe. Michael, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Likewise.
Falconer X. There is a lot of interpretation that has to go through this. Unless I'm missing something.
X. I love it.
Do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I hear? Wow. Funny. Somebody said something about Zach Kitley as the next offensive coordinator.
Yes, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, yeah. Or he was at Houston Baptist before, but yeah, that would be interesting for sure. But at this point, I just want to win. I don't really care. I just want to win. And if we go more in that direction than what Rhett Lashley had, in terms of like air raid, more pure air raid. Yeah, but I also don't necessarily know how open to integrating the run game Kitley will be, because even with throwing the ball and even with having a really good quarterback, you already know that Cristobal is going to want to run the ball like pretty substantially. So I don't necessarily know, but we'll see.
And that's a good thing. There are not teams that win national championships that do not have strong running games.
Yeah. And it does not have to be, 22 personnel, so 2 back and 2 tight, 1 wide receiver, everybody in the box, 3 yards in a cloud of dust to run. It does not have to be that. But at some point through a game, some point through a season, you're going to need to lean on somebody. You're going to need to line up, and they're going to be able to, or know that you're going to run the ball, and you're going to need to be able to do it. And if you wonder what that looks like, think back to yourselves. The 2020 game with North Carolina, because we knew what they were going to run. And they ran it again and again and again and again and again, and we were not able to stop it.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Everybody was surprised by that. No, nobody thought that. I mean, like, it was a literal record-setting game. Like, you don't go into thinking, okay, we're going to give up almost 600 yards rushing to, like, North Carolina at, like, 12 and a half yards a clip, too, by the way. Like, it wasn't even, like, 4 yards, 5 yards. It was a lot.
Because I'm a guy that watches across the country. I love all college football, love all the conferences. I'm watching for the best games, and I distinctly remembering that week thinking, if I could only watch one game, I want to watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
I want to watch North Carolina and Miami. And if somebody would have said North Carolina put up 62, I would have thought, okay, I'm surprised by that. How many yards did Sam Howell throw for? 5, 10, 6 touchdowns? No.
Yeah.
Threw the ball 19
Right.
times.
Right, exactly. I mean, you might think, well, like, is that because I'm talking about football, not basketball? Because like the basketball team, Carolina, dropping 62, you figure, okay, they're having not a great day on the hardwood, and like maybe they need to work on ball rotations and actually making their 3-pointers. You think, okay, well, that's in the realm of but like football, and the way that they did it, they didn't even this immaculate savior quarterback. He threw the ball 18 times, 20 times that game, like. Yeah.
We have one more super chat to get to, but there's also a question here on the screen that you basically answered. But I will say that Dabo Swinney, I believe his first year at Clemson was 2009. And so he was promoted as a wide receiver coach to take over Clemson, which was a good football program, was a top 20 in the country football program at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He really started to kick it in. They won the ACC in 11, so that would have been his third year, but they weren't anywhere close to what they would become. They got, curb stomped by Geno Smith in West Virginia in the Orange Bowl with 70 points, and that's when he went out and got Brent Venables, and that's when it really kicked in. And then over the next couple of years, they're beating LSU and Ohio State in major bowl games, and then boom, Deshaun Watson shows up, and then pew, and they're going to 7 consecutive playoffs and all that. So I guess it did take them a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. But everybody else I could think of, Mac Brown, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, whoever, just bam.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Clemson also had to get through Florida State.
Yeah.
Because remember when at that time, like Florida State, they kicked it into overdrive. They had that championship in 13. Like, I mean, they had pretty good teams surrounding that year. You know what I mean? And that was the direct roadblock for Clemson to ascend in the Atlantic. There is no roadblock in the Coastal. There is not, like, what's his name? Luke Walker. I haven't seen his comment today,
no,
but
not tonight.
Not tonight. But you would think, I mean, in the hypothetical, right? If Carolina football was on an analogous run to what Florida State was doing when Dabo took over, right? So they're 10, 11 wins every year, the Sam Howell, progression, goes into Sean or to Drake May, and then that elevates it even further. And then Drake May, the next quarterback, whoever's behind him, and it elevates it even higher, and like things like that. And Miami has that hurdle to get over. But then, like, you're not really talking about anything else. Maybe you get the blip of, a Lamar Jackson like player at Virginia Tech, or Mike Vick part 2, 2.0. You know what I mean? Because you did have that in the Atlantic at the same time, or in that run, but like all those things, like, you don't have here. Again, the only thing standing in Miami's way has been Miami for so many years, and like that's just what it's been, And so do I think that Miami under Mario can duplicate what Clemson or Dabo did at Clemson? I don't. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say no, because, and I've talked about it on here before about how many things all went perfectly at Clemson, one after another, of talent acquisition in terms of recruiting and smaller numbers too. Because if you look at their classes, you're talking 17 and 18, 19, 22 maybe. But everybody hits their ceiling for development. All of the coaches are great. Even when somebody like Charlie Scott or Jeff Scott leaves, you have somebody else who steps in and is as good, if not better, on that side of the ball. I mean, you have generational quarterback play that is elevated with each consecutive quarterback. You don't really have any injuries of consequence, because even if you do lose a guy like a Mike Williams, a wide receiver, you have another 5-star. You have, these other guys, and there's no drop off because that one guy who leaves or is out for whatever reason is not crippling to the running of the organization. There were and there's more. right? But all of those things during this golden age run for Clemson have been perfectly aligned with perfect execution and perfect luck until this season, right? But it is hard for me to sit here and think that everything will be that kind of perfect in all of these different varying kind of ways for Cristobal and Miami for a time such as Dabo at Clemson. Do I think that Cristobal can elevate things? Do I think that, again, that we can, win a couple ACC championships, contend for college football playoff, and whatever happens down the line in 5 years or whatever, maybe even extending that out a little bit more? I absolutely do. But the same, I'm going to say no, but something, a reasonable facsimile that seems to be similar enough that also supports or fulfills the desires of the fan base, I think is entirely possible.
In roughly the last 10 years, there are 3 programs in this country, Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson, that are winning over 90% of their games. That's not even sustainable long term. So it's just not probable to happen. It's just
right. I mean, it could be only if you shrink the time horizon, right? So if you're talking about those 3 teams, right, that's not when the time horizon is extended to 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years. But in a 5 to 8, like a 3 to 5, 5 to 8 kind of a window where, like, okay, we're not looking at the timeline all the way across, but we're going like this, it can be. So, like, if you're talking about like that peak, that little bit something, I think that's possible because we're seeing it in these 3 teams. However, we're also only seeing it from those 3 teams. So while it is possible, I would say it is definitely not probable, because then somebody else would have found a way to be able to do that.
Yeah. Like if somebody asked me, oh, will any one of those 3 programs win 91% of their games for the next 20 years? I wouldn't even analyze the situation. I would just say no, because it's just statistically highly improbable to continue that. Alabama and Ohio State have the best winning percentages of all time, and it's only 73%. It's just not sustainable statistically. All right. One last question here. We appreciate it coming in from Steven, who asks, Cam, why isn't Winston Moss ever mentioned in the defensive coordinator talk? He is a Cane and has NFL experience as both coach and player.
Yeah, we did a Beyond the U on Winston Moss a couple years ago during that content stream. We talked about it, not the front of my brain about like his resume or anything, but maybe he doesn't want to be an on-field coach at the college level, and that's the thing where we're talking about with Joe Brady, who leaked it. Basically, his agent leaked it through the media. Like, he is looking to stay in the NFL, and pretty much because he hates recruiting, because it's 24/7, 365. You got to be on the road. You got to be contacting these kids. You got to be doing these things, and some people love that. Like Cristobal obviously does, like there are guys at the college level who do, and there are other ones who don't, and especially someone like Winston Moss, who's, worked in the NFL for a long time. I do know that he's coaching the NFL for a while, or did for a while. Maybe coming down to the college level and adding on that ancillary kind of job responsibility, because that is important, because you have to really nail your talent acquisition, because if you don't have the players, then you can't play plays. You know what I mean? So maybe that's a reason. But yeah, I don't necessarily think that. Like I said, I think that might be the reason why his name, Winston Moss, is not ever really brought up in the conversations. And then, when in the past we stuck with college coaches, like you bring in Manny Diaz, did pretty well as defensive coordinator. He brings in, when Manny Diaz became coach, he brought in Blake Baker, who took over for him at Louisiana Tech. So you figure, okay, cool, like this guy's done a great job replacing me. Coached the all-time career-leading sack maker in college football history, in Jalen Ferguson at Louisiana Tech. So let's bring him in and see what we can do. And then when that didn't work, he took the sticks back himself. So there's not really been like that many times recently that we're really looking on the. And then before Manny Diaz, it was Al Golden who brought his former college teammate and good friend Mark D'Onofrio in. So like, there's not been many times where it's just been like a wide open, hey, anybody who's possibly available for this job, we're going to discuss and we're going to look at, or things like that. That hasn't been the case, really. It's been very coordinated and connected to the head coaching and everything. So I think this is really the first time in damn near a decade. Because Alglin's first year was what, 15, 14? No, sorry, that was last year. His first year was 13. So like, since then, and we're in 2021 going 22, so almost a decade, and anything. And I know when I looked at that Winston Moss was coaching in the NFL at that time, so and doing pretty well. So and if we consider the fact that we now know concretely that we all surmised and said that Miami, while having money, was choosing to be frugal. You put those things together and like, you want me to come back to the alma mater, but you want me to take a hometown discount, and you want me to add on all these other things, and you want me to be away from my family, and I'm good. I'm going to be up here in Green Bay where I was coaching, or he was coaching, and everything, and do that. So not that he's without the resume and the experience to do the job. It just hasn't really kind of fit together for whatever reason.
We peaked over 300 tonight. We appreciate everybody being here. Please grab some friends, some folks that love college football, Miami in particular. Bring them back here next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Wednesday.
Cam, you've got the final Wednesday. It's 7 Eastern time. I don't know why I do that. I dance around Wednesday and Thursday and Tuesday. Anyway, it's I got too many of these things. Yeah. Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Cam, you've got center stage to close us out.
Yeah, man. So always thank you guys for for stopping by and sharing some time with us. We really do appreciate that. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. The website is stateoftheu.com. My personal Twitter account is at Underwood Sports. Have been a little bit light on personal content recently because the secret day job has been kicking my butt. But I am going to let the fingers do some walking and talking on these keys soon. But we brought back my good friend Kappa Kane, and he's put up a bunch of really great content recently. I think Justin DeTavio put up X's and O's piece on Alex Mirabal, that Alex Mirabal used all 22 at a coaching clinic or something. So then DeTavio broke down some of the things from that. So we're talking about offensive line play, and the offensive line play, if you extrapolate that out, can also make you look at the things that you might see forthcoming from the offense that his players will be blocking on and things like that. So there's that. There's more. There's obviously going to be lots of recruiting stuff. Love, we didn't even get to it today, but Mario Cristobal, not even with the fancy names, he's just like, hey, January 22nd, Elite Prospects Day at the U. Come down. So it's not, even a fancy name. It's like, if you're an elite prospect, find yourself there. And it's the same weekend as the Battle Miami 7-on-7 elite tournament that most of the elite teams in the nation play. And so if you're looking for a lot of these guys who in this class and next class who've already been to campus last year, it was that same weekend. So it's a really great thing where he looks and says, okay, this, bang, that's when Elite Prospect Day is going to be. And that is in a couple of weeks, leading towards National Signing Day and things like that. So we'll have coverage for that and so much more. Already have all of the recruiting notebooks up for every player who is signed so far. Working on some other stuff for you guys as well behind the scenes. But yeah, we do always appreciate that. So again, find us in all of those places, and please come on over, fan with us at State of the U.
Cam, thanks for making this go. Appreciate everyone being here. We'll see you next Wednesday night.
See you guys.